this is the next day. I printed the blocks out in the carbon fiber reinforced PET G. They are substantially heavier, obviously, from my original test block. Substantially heavier. I mean, like, this weighs nothing, and that was expected because I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but you can see the infill here is like non-existent. This one, on the other hand, this is a solid piece of plastic. It's not a solid piece of plastic, but damn, it's pretty hefty, which is exactly what I wanted. Yeah, I'm like totally floored at how well these turned out, especially since I've had so many failures. And while we're discussing failures, I think it's important to note two things. One is I should have done this as soon as I got my printer. I printed out a set of radius gauges, and this set of radius gauges is really interesting because it goes from basically 1 millimeter all the way up to 60. Oh, and that is hilarious. I put it on wrong. Oh well, I'm married to that one now. Oh no, I'm not. Duh. Okay. So, and I put them on. Right. You know, it's a fucking rough day, right? And I just put them on this piece of wire, so they'll act just like you know, any other gauge or whatever swatch you have on a piece of wire, right? So that's great. I wish I'd had those before. I actually printed these out. Well, I printed these printed relatively fast. It was about 3 hours to print all of these. There was 3 different plates. But that's neither here nor there. So I used my radius gauge and I figured out that this is a 31 degree radius going this way, but it's a 20 some degree radius going this way. I went into Tinkercad and I made as close of a approximation of this particular piece as I could. Hey, I'm not a designer. I'm not a, you know, I'm not a CAD guy, right? I'm a trial and error guy. So I printed out the first one. It didn't quite fit. It didn't quite fit in a couple ways. One is the angle's off. So the angle is off, right? Which is what I'm trying to fix here. So I took this, I canned this one. The other thing is when I printed, it's not this one. When I printed the first one out, it had this like real big step in it. So this is actually the first one I printed. And it's way off, right? You can see it's crazy off. Because I used this as the width. The reality is I needed to use this up here as the width. And it is what it is. But it kind of got me going in the right direction. Then I rescaled it, not thinking, and I ended up with this one. Now this one, the hole in this is, the whole thing is obviously way too small. But what it did was it verified that this needed to be 30 some millimeters in diameter, or in radius. And then I printed out this one, and this one fits almost perfectly. It's almost perfect, but what I needed to do, and actually the program did it, the program actually did it, and I corrected it, and I shouldn't have corrected it. So this hole wants to be oblong, or moved up. I chose to make an oblong hole because slotted holes are so much easier to deal with. So what I can do, when the next one prints out, I'll be able to rotate this up, and then it'll provide the square that I need for this. So this to be square. So when I cinch the nut down, it'll be square on the piece. It's almost there. It is actually, believe it or not, I know there's a hell of a gap there, but once I make this hole oblong and slide this piece back, it'll be exactly what I want, I hope. So the next thing we're gonna do is gonna put the rest of these on, but I'm gonna save you that because my videos are too long. Okay, you know, obviously I'm back, right? So, now, this is kind of hilarious, right? So I have, these are all my test pieces that I printed out. So, yeah, so these are all my test pieces. And at the end of the day, I went with this one. Oops. I went with this one. Now, granted, I also mounted the wheels. So the wheels are all mounted. I flapped my fat ass in the chair, and it's perfect. I couldn't be more happy with the height of the chair for working. I rolled the chair over to where I work. I raised it up. I raised it down. It's the perfect working height for what I need. The chair is really heavy now. Doing what I did by putting these heavy casters on the bottom made the chair pretty heavy at the bottom. The other thing is I got my spacers printed out. Now, I will openly admit that I threw in the towel on the spacers. After printing out 6 of these, not any of them really fitting perfectly, I kind of gave up a little bit. You know, there's a point in my career where I've decided that it's good enough. My quest for perfection is gone. Part of the problem is my oblong hole is it needs to be a little bit rounder at the top here, and this radius is wrong. Well, how am I going to fix that? Well, I'm going to fix it the way that I fixed everything recently, which is grab out my Spinster Cat Lady hot glue gun, and I'm just going to hot glue these fuckers into place. The other thing I found as a problem, because literally it's a spacer, and that's it. It doesn't. Once I put the hot glue in here and plop that thing down, the compression of the bolt is going to hold everything into place. It's never going to move once it's bolted into position. So again, it's a spacer, right? The other problem I had, and this is hilarious because it's very rare that this ever happens to me, but it did happen. So the chair is actually a little bit too high, right? So when I sit in the chair at the proper height to work, my legs dangle off the bottom like a little kid sitting on a bar stool. So just like every good bar stool, I have to put a footrest on it. Now I could have went and made this like crazy footrest, which I kind of did, but I decided that the truth of the matter is I only need one footrest, right? So I just have to make sure I orient the chair in the correct position every time I sit in it. Other option was to take this piece of white oak that I had laying around. It's actually a failed cutting board, and I couldn't bear to throw it away. This white oak is actually super duper hard and really cool. So I glued it together. I put a biscuit in here and glued it together, and now I have a footrest. There we go. Now I have a footrest, and you can't really see on camera, but it fits perfectly. This is another one of those moments in my life where I'm like, holy crap, it actually worked. That's a rarity for me, I'm not gonna lie. The only thing I may end up doing is cutting this point off, but we'll see how it goes. But that should bring that footrest up exactly where I need it to be. Actually, the chair right now is compressed all the way, and then I could just put the nuts on it, right? And then the fat man will have his chair. The fat man will have some place to plap his fat ass. Everything else has gone together really well. I really, at the end of the day, I gave it a little bit of contemplation, and I really don't even need these nuts because I threaded the shaft. Because I threaded the hole. When I threaded these in, these don't want to move. This is purely just a locking nut. It's just purely to lock it down. So that's it. Like I said, the spinster's going to get out her hot glue gun, and he's going to glue these into position. The spacers into position, and then that's it. It's a win for the 3D printer, a win for the wood shop, and a win for my fat ass. All right, we're all put together. Let's flop this thing down on the ground here. So some of my more astute viewers will notice that these bolts are too long. let's see here. You'll notice that these are too long, and they are. So, the other thing is, and you're not going to be able to see it on camera, is hot glue work perfectly. Like I said, this is purely, it's a spacer. It's not, I'm going to get a little philosophical here for a second and say that I'm sick and tired of building every fucking thing like it's a nuclear reactor or a fucking battleship or a bridge that's supposed to last 150 fucking years. Okay, this is not a B-52 with an airframe that's going to be running for 60 years. Right? It's a fucking chair. Okay, so that's that. Yeah, I know I'm fat. If I sit down in the chair funny and it breaks, I'm going to fall on the ground. Nobody's going to get killed. The irony of that would be if I got killed and my chair broke. But I've spent a considerable amount of my life and a considerable amount of my career building things in a manner that is just ludicrous. Especially when you look at the way things are built, consumer items are built. And it's just asinine to me to keep building these monstrosities, these over-engineered monstrosities, like I'm a fucking German tank builder in 1942. It just doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I've used hot glue. Like I said, it's the savior of every 50-year-old spinster cat lady that likes to make wreaths. And not for nothing, I've had a considerable amount of success with this stuff. Could I have used carbon reinforced, high strength, high temperature epoxy? Abso-fucking-lutely, yes. I have it. I can use it. But you know what's a lot faster, a lot cheaper, and a lot just as durable for what I needed to do? Actually, probably more durable? Hot glue. All right, so let's plop this thing down on the chair now that I'm done bitching. And it doesn't even want to come off my fingers. Let's check this thing out and see if the fat guy falls. This dog needs to move, needs to go. All right. Let's see here. God damn it. Me and my coffee are not going well lately. I spilled a shit ton of it the other day. Spilled a whole cup of coffee the other day. At least this was only half a cup. Alright, a moment of truth here, kids. Now that it's also another 2 or 3 pounds heavier. Notice I didn't throw it on the floor. Alright, let's check her out. Ooh, my fly's down. Alright. So, let's see here. It goes up. So that puts it up, but so you can see here, my feet are like dangling off the floor. Look at that. Fat man is happy. And just for shits and giggles, so I actually do have a footrest over here I can lean on. Obviously, I'll have to orient the chair. That's why I left these ones long, in case I decide that I want to put another footrest on it. I can. Oh yeah, I like it. And then if I just want to sit here, I can always lower the chair, right? So now I'm back to now I'm back to a normal you know, somewhat normal height. My feet do kind of dangle a little bit, but I have my footrest, right? This is a win-win project for me, and it's something I've wanted to do for a long time. Now, I've given up on trying to buy things that I like, and nothing I ever buy is perfect for me. So I'm leaning towards getting a little bit more perfect with my chair here. The one thing that I am going to revisit with this chair is I may try to figure out how to raise these arms up even a little bit higher to adjust them. They have an adjustment on them, and if I could adjust them up a little bit more, if I could get these to come up another maybe 3 inches, that would be cool. But we're not doing that today. We're just gonna sit here and enjoy our chair. I really like this. It's like perfect.
Oops.